Today, we are diving into a story that, honestly, seems to defy logic. It's about a massive economic shift that's happening right now across rural India. We're talking technology, transformation, and a social revolution that's kind of taking everyone by surprise. So let's get right into it. So here's the big puzzle we're going to tackle. On one hand, we're seeing traditional farm jobs just vanishing at a really alarming rate. But at the exact same time, millions of rural women are joining the workforce, many for the very first time. I mean, how is that even possible? Stick with me because we're about to connect those dots. To really wrap our heads around what's going on, you have to see it as this huge rural paradox. You've got two powerful, almost conflicting forces at play, and they are completely reshaping the Indian countryside as we speak. Just think about that for a second. One force is pushing people out of farm work, while another is pulling a very specific group, women, into the workforce. It just doesn't seem to add up, but the numbers, well, they tell a really fascinating story. Okay, so let's tackle the first half of this puzzle, the rise of the machines on India's farms. We're talking about tractors, combine harvesters, modern seed drills, you name it. And these aren't just shiny new tools, they are total game changers. Yeah, they boost productivity for sure, but they also completely rewrite the rules for who is actually needed to work the land. It is a classic double-edged sword. And the impact is, well, it's staggering. With mechanization, the average farm suddenly needs almost 40% fewer workers. That is a massive, massive number of people whose jobs have essentially just vanished into thin air. And for those who do manage to keep their jobs, the work itself is becoming way less reliable. The number of available workdays in a given season has dropped by more than a quarter. So even if you have a job, a steady paycheck is absolutely not a guarantee anymore.
But here's where it gets interesting. While there are fewer jobs and fewer workdays, the average daily wage has actually climbed by over 14%. And this tells us something absolutely crucial. A smaller, more skilled group of workers, the ones who can operate all these new machines, they're actually earning more money.
And this table breaks down exactly where those jobs are disappearing from. Just look at that top line, harvesting and threshing. We're talking about the process of gathering crops and separating the grain. Almost 60% of workers in this area reported losing their jobs. This used to be the most labor-intensive part of farming. Not anymore. And this isn't just about spreadsheets and numbers. There is a very real human cost here. The vast majority, 70% of these displaced workers, feel like they've lost all their bargaining power. And 2/3 say that the constant stress and job insecurity is taking a serious toll on their mental health. So that's the story of job loss. But now we've got to flip to the other side of this paradox. Because at the exact same time, something truly remarkable is happening with women in the rural workforce. I mean, just look at this graph. It tells such an incredible story. For more than a decade, the share of women in India's workforce was actually shrinking, which was a huge concern. But then, right around 2018, it suddenly shoots up, creating this dramatic U-shape. This turnaround is one of the biggest economic shifts happening in India today. And get this, it's almost entirely a rural story. And just so we're all on the same page, when we talk about the labor force participation rate, or LFPR, we just mean the percentage of working-age women who either have a job or are actively out there looking for one. Simple as that. And the numbers here are just mind-blowing. In only 5 years, the participation rate for rural women shot up from around 25% to over 41%. That's a nearly 70% increase. Now compare that to the much slower, more modest growth we're seeing in cities. This is without a doubt a rural revolution. Okay, so let's recap. We've got fewer farm jobs, but way more women working. It's time to connect the dots and finally solve this paradox. This is really the million-dollar question, isn't it? If mechanization is wiping out all these traditional farm jobs, where in the world are all these women finding work? Are they just taking over the jobs that men used to do? Well, the answer is, it's a bit more complicated than that. So the key here is to understand that this isn't just about job destruction. It's about job transformation. While the old manual labor jobs are vanishing, a whole new rural economy is starting to take its place. Suddenly, there's a huge demand for people who can operate and maintain tractors, for jobs in food processing, for getting goods to market. And what's really amazing is we're seeing this huge rise in women starting their own small businesses, from selling produce to providing local services. It's a massive skill shift. And it's really important to remember this is not a one-size-fits-all story. This change looks totally different depending on where you are and your personal circumstances. Take a state like Bihar, for example, which has traditionally had very low female employment. We've seen a massive surge there, specifically among married rural women joining the workforce. This just goes to show how much local culture and social norms are shaping this new economy. So, what's the big picture here? What does all of this actually mean for the future of rural India? While it all points to one central critical challenge, a massive skills gap. The new jobs that are being created require a completely different set of skills from the old jobs that are disappearing, and right now, there's a major disconnect. And you can see the problem crystal clear right here. Over a third of young people in rural areas say they are interested in these new mechanized jobs, but only 14% have actually gotten any kind of formal training for them. That is a huge gap between aspiration and actual preparation. This quote from one of the sources we looked at just perfectly captures the essence of this change. Mechanization is a classic double-edged sword. It's creating winners and it's creating losers, displacing some workers while at the same time creating better-paying jobs for others. So look, this isn't some far-off prediction for the future. It's happening right now, as we speak. The Great World Transformation is already here. The real question is no longer if it will happen, but how do we manage this incredible shift to make sure that the benefits of this new economy can reach everyone, not just a select few?